Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom. This is part 3 of surviving a toxic baby mama. Let's get it.
Like to welcome y'all to the Monte Carlo show. Hey, Up Entertainment. Oh my God! I'm about to take you on a wild ride. It's the Monte Carlo show. We got a lot to discuss. We in the manosphere and every topic is up. The hello with shalom. The plan and effect is the level of your home. Be the best version of yourself and measure up your own. We all got dreams. Set a schedule for your role when you're setting up your goals. We hard working. This the channel for the truth. This beyond purpose. Getting paper cutting green like a lawn service. This a black man channel. I know y'all nervous, but we at y'all service. Anything you wanna talk about, let's talk about it. The Monte Carlo show, the truth, we all about it. Perspectives, social push objectives, and we ain't gonna stop till our message is effective. These days, hating is selective, but the Monte Carlo show will always be respected. It's the Monte Carlo show. Come take this ride with us. It's the Monte Carlo show. If you got drive, you up. It's the Monte Carlo show. We getting the streets right, on the road to riches, and every light's a green light. It's the Monte Carlo show. It's the Monte Carlo. It's the Monte Carlo show. It's the Monte Carlo. It's the Monte Carlo show. It's the Monte Carlo. It's the Monte Carlo show. It's the Monte Carlo show. Another one.
Welcome to another episode of the Monte Carlo show. Of course, I'm your host, Monte Carlo. This is part 3. This is part 3 of surviving a toxic baby mama. Now, just to kind of briefly bring y'all up to speed, a brief recap of part 2. My daughter's mom, JC, I was being kept from my daughter. She was being really rude to me. Really, really nasty, in regards to my communication with my daughter. She ended up marrying said Barbara, C. And, that really, changed the game for me in terms of the whole relationship dynamic between, me and my daughter. I failed to mention that in the midst of this time, after I left her the second time, and by the time she had gotten married in part 2, that when I came back home to my home state, I did end up, getting back with my son's son's mother. Her and I, we had my youngest boy. Or whatever. So I kind of, I moved on with my life, so did she. Apparently she moved on with her life as well. And unfortunately, because of the things and the circumstances and the things I was dealing with, I felt like I had to kind of build up a wall, unfortunately, with my daughter, because the stress level was just too crazy. The stress level was just, it just was crazy. I didn't want to deal with that just off the strength of, trying to have a relationship with my daughter and just trying to stay out the way as much as possible concerning her situation. Even though I really didn't like it, but, whatever, they're adults, people are gonna people, and it just is what it is. So, I'll move on with my life. I've tried to build a relationship with my daughter, and it just wasn't working. So I had to build that wall up. I got to the point where I didn't even really want to, call her like that, because I just didn't want to deal with all that extra toxic stuff, that drama. You know what I'm saying? And just the whole situation was just foul to me. I just thought it was real. I just thought it was real distasteful, and I thought it was really disrespectful. So now that we're here, this is the thing, and I told y'all the plot thickens. It gets it gets crazier. It gets crazier, right? As if, the things that I spoke about already in part 1 and part 2 were not bad enough. It gets crazier. So JC, my daughter's mom, is with, the barber. And time passes. And you guys would never believe what happened next, what transpired next, right? So they're together for, I don't know, I want to say about 5 years. I want to say they were together for about 5 years plus. JC and C. They were together for, I want to say at least about 5 years. Could have been a little bit longer. I want to say about 5 years plus. And, I'm at work, I'm at work out in the fields, you know what I'm saying? And I get a phone call from my job. And they said, Shamant, there was an investigator that called up here, asking for you. And they said, it's very important, it's urgent. And it was an investigator from Florida that called, and it's very urgent, it's important, and they need you to call them as soon as possible. And, immediately I just got alarmed, I was alarmed. Because I thought, first thing that I thought was that something happened to my daughter. So, the supervisor at my job gave me the phone number to the investigator that called up there, wanted me to reach out to him. So, I pulled my work truck over to the side of the road, heart pumping, I'm nervous. I don't know what to expect, what to think, or what's going on. So I called the number, and I get the investigator on the phone, and they tell me that the barber, we call him C, JC's husband, shot her multiple times. It made the news and everything.
Oh my God!
Yep, he shot her. Yeah. He shot her. He ended up shooting her. And, the whole situation was just crazy, man. And, based on the details that I got, my daughter was actually right behind him or right next to him, like, in the area of their house where this took place. So my daughter witnessed her mom getting shot by C, the barber, her husband, JC's husband. And, I just was overwhelmed. Like, I was angry, I was sad, and I just, I didn't know what to make of it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what to make of it. But he had shot her multiple times. And it got bad for her. And, so the investigator asked me, she was like, do you want to have your daughter stay with her grandparents, or do you want to come and get her? And of course, I said, I'm going to come get my baby. I'm going to come get my daughter. So, I made plans, of course, after everything was told to me about the situation that happened. And I was just grateful to the Most High that, that he didn't turn around and, hit my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Because, when you reach that point in a relationship where you really feel like you got to do something like that to your significant other, things have gotten really bad, really bad. And in his rage and frustration, he could have easily, turned the weapon on my daughter, and then, also turn the weapon on her son, which he didn't do. All praise due to the Most High. He didn't do that. But my daughter was right next to him when he did it. She seen it happen with her own eyes, which was definitely unfortunate, and I know it was traumatizing for my daughter. So, I made plans to go down to Florida, of course, to get my daughter. In the midst of me making plans to get my daughter, now mind you, I am on child support. Her mother, was made aware that I decided to come down and get my daughter. Now, from what the investigator told me, they also called JC's oldest, her son's father, asked him the same question that they asked me. Do you want him to stay with the grandparents, or do you want to come and get your child? He opted to let him, their son, stay with the grandparents. I opted to go and get my daughter. So I made plans to go do that. And in the midst of me doing that, I think it was about less than a week's time, if that I made arrangements to where I can go down and get my daughter. In the midst of that time, JC's mother was just really making it seem like I didn't have a right to come and get my child. She even went as far as like calling herself going through the child support paperwork and saying, oh, well, according to this right here, you can't come and get your daughter, this, that, and the other. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
What?
That's bullshit.
Stop the cap.
How the hell I can't come get my own daughter in the midst of these circumstances, in the midst of this situation? Are you serious? Just because I'm on child support, I can't come and get my child. When an investigator, and I guess it's the same, I can't remember what they call it down in Florida, but it's equivalent to DSS here, but more on a legal law. I don't know what to call it, but it's kind of like DSS down here. But anyway, the investigator called me and gave me the option. I chose to get my daughter. It wasn't about whether I was on child support or not, but JC's mom, my daughter's grandmother, was just trying to make it hard for me to come down there to get my baby. And I'm like, man, I'm feeling all these kind of ways about what happened. I know this happened in front of my daughter. I need to go get my baby and make sure she's okay. Bring her to safety. So she was making it difficult. So I ended up going down there, of course. I ended up calling the investigator and telling the investigator, like, listen, JC's mother is making it seem like because I'm on child support, I can't come and get my daughter. Can you rectify this for me? Can you tell me what this is about? So she went over my child support paperwork and she said, hey, there's nothing in here saying that you can't get your child, especially due to the circumstances and the situation. I said, yeah, that's what I was saying myself. I thought the same thing. She was like, listen, I'm going to call JC's mother, and I'm going to let her know that you are coming down here on this particular date to get your daughter. And if she hinders anything about you getting your daughter, there will be further actions taken against her. I said, okay, say less. So sure enough, the investigator called her and let her know, like, listen, don't play no games about the situation. He said he was going to come and get his daughter. He's going to come down there on this day to get her. We've already documented this in our records. If you stop this from happening in any way, there will be legal action taken against you. So I drove down there, of course, to get my daughter, me and a partner of mine, talking about a 7-hour drive, 7 hours plus drive. But anyway, my partner rode down there with me because I just felt like I needed somebody to, be there with me just in case stuff went left, because the way JC's mother was acting, I just didn't trust the situation to go down there necessarily by myself. So I took my partner with me, and we rode down. We get down there, my daughter's looking, of course she's looking sad. She's still trying to digest what happened to her mom, and she was worried and concerned about her mom, and her mother was, she ended up being in a pretty much critical condition. I believe she was in a coma because one of the rounds ended up, I think it went like here, and then I think it went through, her head, one of them, and then whatever. But she was in a bad situation, and she was in critical condition for a portion of time, and I think she was, like I said, she was in a coma for a good portion of time. So I get my daughter. Her grandmother's, talking about getting her a cell phone and stuff like that. When I was down there, she was just beating around the bush. She didn't have her hair done by the time I got down there, and she knew well I was coming down there, a week prior, or that week of, and she was supposed to have all this stuff done already. Her clothes packed, her hair done. When I finally get down there, she's doing her hair. When I walk into the house, my partner stayed in the car, told him to stay in the car, just to watch around, just in case there was some funny business going on. And I went on the inside, waited for my daughter to make sure I got all her stuff. And then I ended up bringing up her and her brother, JC's firstborn son, the one I was mentioning, in the other two episodes, other two parts of this this story. So, they wanted me to bring him up here as well because, like I said, JC's father lives in the state of South Carolina. And so I guess they wanted me to, bring him up with her as well so that he can go over to the granddad's house, JC's father. And then, my daughter was going to be at home with me. So I acquiesced. I said, okay, they both been through this tragic situation. It was, I'm sure it was, it was just traumatizing for the both of them, and I know how much, she loves her brother, from her mother, JC. So I was like, okay, I'll bring him up with us too, whatever. So I do that, drop him off at his granddad's house, and let her granddad see Jasmine, of course, and stuff like that. Oh, excuse me. See my daughter, and it was weird because what happened was I would get my daughter and her auntie E, along with her other two aunties. Her auntie E actually lived up here at the time as well, and between my daughter's auntie E and the other two aunties, they were making it very hard for me to have that time with my daughter to help her to heal and everything. Now, what the investigator told me was that if I did get her, I was to, get her a counselor, some type of therapist, put her in some type, get her some type of therapy, which, I did. Once she got up here, I made some phone calls, and I made some calls to make sure she had, a counselor. I had to check in with I can't remember who it is I had to check in with. It was like two people that I had to check in with. They told me that because of the situation, they needed me to just, be hands-on with the situation, make sure I had her a therapist and somebody she could talk to about what was going on. And it was something else that they required me to do, which I fulfilled both requirements while my daughter was here. So I do that, but in the midst of her being here, I was going through all kinds of stuff with her, with JC's mom, her, my daughter's grandmother, and her auntie E. They were just always harassing me. I mean, my daughter was here for maybe two or 3 months, about two to 3 months since the incident happened. And within those 2 or 3 months, I literally had the police come to my house a total of 3 times here and 1 time at my daughter's grandfather's house. Because my daughter's grandmother, JC's mom, was really adamant about me not having my daughter. They was making it seem like I was supposed to only have her for about a few days or so and bring her back to Florida, which wasn't the case. I had every form of paperwork drawn up. I had the police report drawn up. I had the news article drawn up. I had the letter from the investigator that called me to come get my daughter drawn up. Everything drawn up in paper showing why I have my daughter. They just kept sending the police to my house talking about I'm not supposed to have her. I was supposed to bring her back at a certain time, which I never ever agreed. I never said anything about bringing her back. My concern was keeping her in, out of harm's way, and I knew she was safe with me. I never ever said I was going to bring my daughter back down to Florida at any given time. This is kind of hard to put all together because there was so much that was going on, but what I will say is, they just made it really hard for me. They made it seem like I wasn't supposed to have my daughter, and that just blew my mind. It was just the evilest, most wickedest thing that I've one of the things I've ever seen in my life. Here it is, I'm trying to console my daughter, make sure she's okay, acquiesce to the requirements that they said I need to make sure she has some type of counseling going on. She had to talk to a lady at least once, I believe once or twice a week, in regards to her feelings and her emotions and stuff like that. It'd be nights where, she was just so worried about her mom, and she would want me to sleep in bed with her just until she went to sleep. And of course, me being her Abba, I stayed in the room with her until she fell asleep and made sure, my daughter was okay. And all these other type of things, while she was here, we tried to have as much fun as possible. We decorated, the whole bedroom for her, and, to fit her, that was her room. So when she got here, she, welcome home on the walls. And, my wife did a good job. My wife I'm currently married to did a good job. And my wife, by the way, is not, the mother of my sons, the mother of my two boys. This is my second marriage. But, my wife did a really awesome job, decorating her room for her when she got here. It fit her. We changed the bed covers for her. I bought her a brand new memory foam mattress, all that stuff, man. Just so she'll be comfortable in this new environment. But anyway, so, JC's mom and her auntie, my daughter's auntie E, they were just very nasty and rude towards me, man. Like I was constantly harassed by the police just by having my daughter, which was crazy. I just didn't understand. So every time the police would come up here, I would show them the paperwork, concerning the situation. And that's another thing, man. I gotta honestly say, man, this is one of the reasons why I don't really fuck with police like that. Because these motherfuckers, man, I just got a bad taste in my mouth behind the county that came to my house these times. Because they came numerous times here. I had one county come 3 times here, and then JC's father was just adamant about me wanting, him wanting me to bring my daughter by his house so that he could see her for a weekend. And I was reserved about that because I'm like, man, listen, I don't trust you. We don't talk on a regular basis. And then when I was with your daughter, I tried to tell her how she was moving, how she was acting. You acted like you couldn't do nothing about it. Now all of a sudden you want me to bring my daughter by your house for the weekend so that you can spend time with her. But all these other times, and I told him, I said, listen, I didn't see my daughter when she would come up to South Carolina. I didn't even know she was here sometime. But guess what? You saw her. You didn't even make sure that I saw her. You didn't ask my daughter, did you go see your Abba? Did you go see him? No, you didn't care. You didn't care. But now you want to spend time with my daughter. So my wife, she talked to me about it, and I was like, okay. Ended up letting my daughter go over her granddaddy house. Soon as I did it, the same day, her auntie E, with her big back, big back self. I can't stand that. If she was a man. So what she does is she calls the police over at her dad's house. Because they all got the same daddy, JC and my daughter's auntie E. And it's like 4 girls and one boy, as far as JC's mom, what she had with this guy. But Auntie E ends up calling the city police department over to the granddad's house. So, I get a call from the granddad, hey man, you might want to come over here because Eden called, the city and, they're over here talking about, you shouldn't have Jaslyn. She's supposed to be going back to Florida. I said, what? Took my paper out. I got in my truck, shot down the interstate. Got down there, showed the officer my paperwork and what was going on, gave him the rundown, gave him the skinny. You know what I'm saying? Gave him the skinny. And he was like, this is what's going on. You ain't got to explain nothing to them, man. Go ahead and get your daughter. Whatever case may be, man, go ahead and get your daughter. And y'all just go. You ain't got to explain nothing to them. No, you ain't got to, you know what I'm saying? So I got my daughter, of course, and peeled out. And Auntie E was sitting back in the garage in the dark, just looking. Thought that she was getting away with something. You know what I'm saying? I wondered, and I was like, hey, bring your ass out that garage. Hey, come out here. You got so much to say. You want to call the police on me and all the other stuff. Tomorrow I'm supposed to have my daughter. Bring your ass out. Yeah, come on out the garage. She stayed her little big back. She stayed her big back, ugly ass in the garage. You know what I'm saying? The granddad and his wife looking stupid, and she trying to, the granddad's wife trying to, apologize to me and talk to me, and I wasn't trying to hear none of that. I wasn't trying to hear none of that. Here it is. I done finally let my guard down to bring my daughter over there for you to spend time with her. But then as soon as I drop her off, about an hour and a half later, this happened. I got to shoot back over there, worried, my heart pumping the whole time I'm driving down there. I'm speeding. Damn near going through lights. So anyway, I bring my daughter back home. Lo and behold, a couple days pass. They still want me to bring her back by the house. I said, oh no, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. No, not going to happen. Y'all doing way too much. I already had the police come to my house 2 times at where I live, in my actual residence. I finally let my daughter come over there with you. Police get called on me over there. She's staying with me until this whole thing gets resolved. And I kept it that way. In the meantime, JC's mom is cussing me out through text message. She's saying all these horrible things about me. And mind you, my mom passed away. I remember her making a statement saying, your mom would turn around in her grave. She'd be disappointed in you if she knew you was acting like this, and that, and the other. I said, in my mind, I said, bitch, what? Bitch, what? First of all, keep my mom out your fucking mouth. First of all. Second of all, my mom would have probably wanted to lay hands on all of y'all asses if she was still here with us. Don't you dare talk about anything about my mom in the midst of this situation. You just so angry and messed up about the situation that you really are acting evil, just as evil as your daughter did towards me, for no reason. I didn't do this to your daughter. I simply did what was asked of me to do. I was asked to come. I was given the option to let my daughter stay with you or to come get her, and I chose to come get my daughter. What is this? What is this your business? What is this your business? This is not your child. This is not your child. This is my child. Lo and behold, she took it upon herself to push the button. And what JC's mother did was she filed what was called an out-of-state custody order through a law firm up here in South Carolina, through an attorney. I would use his name, but we're going to call him BT. He worked for a law firm, and she filed a out-of-state custody order. The grandmother did. Now, the mom is still in the hospital fighting for her life. Well, no, at this point, the mother JC just got out of the hospital. She came through. She survived. All praise due to the Most High. She survived, and she made it through. But I will say that pretty much every other day that she was in the hospital, I remember calling up there to check on her status to see what was going on, to see how she was doing, how she was coming along. how well she was coming along, if everything was going good, if everything was going to plan. And, just praying for her, even though I honestly, I hated her because of her decision to marry this man. And me being, me knowing him the way I knew him. But I was angry with her for her marrying him and then for her keeping my daughter away from me in the midst of her being married to this guy. I was really angry with her, but I tried to put all that aside because I was concerned about my daughter's mental health and I was also concerned about her mother's physical health. And I called the doctor, I called the hospital every other day to check on her mother. And, I just wanted to get updates to make sure she was okay and she was coming along good. And like I said, she pulled through. So by the fourth time the police was called to my house, like I said, JC's mom had filed an out-of-state child support, out-of-state custody order. And they came to my home. The same police officers that came the first 2 times to this particular residence came again. And by that time, I opened the door and I'm looking at them like, man, what do you want now? Like, what do y'all want now? Like, what do y'all want?
What more do you want from me?
Like, what more? What do you want? Like, what's up? Like, what? Yeah, we got this paperwork here saying that, they filed an out-of-state custody order and blase. In the first 2 times they came here, I literally, had to tell them about themselves. I'm like, listen, y'all here talking about I'm not supposed to have my daughter. I was like, look at this. Look at what happened here. Her mother got shot by her husband. Her mother got shot by her husband, and it happened in front of my daughter. Y'all here talking about I'm not supposed to have my daughter? Y'all here 2 or 3 cop car units outside my house talking about y'all here to get my child. This is what happened. 2 times I showed them the paperwork. The second time I pretty much cussed their ass out because I'm like, y'all shouldn't even be at my damn house with this bullshit. They end up leaving the second time. The third time is when I actually let her go to her granddad's house, and her ugly ass big back auntie E called the city police on me, and I had to go over there and take care of that. They let that go. Then the 4th time was when they came back by, and that's when she went through that law firm. BT, the attorney BT, pushed through the system this out-of-state custody order for the grandmama. So this white police officer, along with other white police officers, this motherfucker literally came in my house. He was like, yeah, we're here to get we're here to get your daughter. We're here to get your daughter, and we have this thing in place that was filed. You was already sent a notification. And mind you, I reached out to the attorney because I was like, man, what are you doing? Do you understand what's going on here? Like, I don't know what they told you, but I was told to go get my daughter. How did you file this? And I ain't even had a court date yet with her mom, anything. I was supposed to be holding my daughter until her mother got out of the hospital and was scheduled for the court date to go against her said husband, C, who shot her, almost took her life. I was supposed to make sure my daughter was maintained and straight until it was time for them to call me down there. They said, they said, hey, if you come down here and get your daughter, we're going to need you to make sure that you can bring her back down when it's time for the court date, for the trial, for what happened. I said, cool, no problem. So I said, okay. But, they came with the and it was express too, because I remember getting a letter in the mail. I think it happened on a Friday. And then it was like a Friday evening when I got this express letter in the mail from this law firm talking about I'm not supposed to have it was the way it was worded. I got the paperwork back in the back, but the way it was worded was like, I'm not supposed to have my daughter. And that they filed a out-of-state custody order or something like that to where they can take her back down to Florida. So the police officer comes, he brings his ass in my fucking house. And I tell him, I'm like, listen, I go get my daughter, man. I can't believe this is happening. I go get my daughter. I went outside for a little bit, cussed out her grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just hot. I was furious because I didn't want my daughter back in that environment. And apparently her mom was making some toxic decisions in her life to where that man wanted to take her life. So I was furious. So I told him, I said, hey, stay at the front porch, stay at the door. He made it upon himself. He took it upon himself to come in my house. I told him to stay at the door. He walked his white ass in my fucking house. And not only did he walk in my house, he came in my house, walked through my living room to the hallway to get my daughter out my house. And I'm looking at him like, I wanted to fuck that police officer up so bad. I can't lie to y'all. It took everything in me to not fuck him up. I don't know what the Most High had to do something, and this right here is gonna be, a little bit, of course, a longer episode or whatever. But it took everything in me, I promise you, not to put hands on this man. And honestly, I'm a concealed weapons carrier. I have weapons, in my home, different places. It was so many things running through my mind when that police officer was coming in my house to take my daughter away from me to go back down to Florida with her grandmother and her mom. Because by the fourth time they came, her mother got out of the hospital. She was still under heavy medication, under recovery and stuff like that. But they were all outside. Her big back, ugly ass Auntie E was out there with him as well in another car. And then it was like 3 other cop cars out there as well. So, I'm furious. I'm really in tears. Be honest with you, I'm in tears. I'm furious. I'm watching this motherfucker walk through my damn house like he paid bills in this motherfucker, coming to get my daughter. That pissed me off. Then it also pissed me off that they was able to find a crack in the judicial system, in the justice system, to come and get my daughter as if I'm not supposed to have her, which was crazy. So what I failed to mention to you guys was, of course, with all the paperwork and stuff I had, when I got my daughter, I called child support in Florida, where the case was opened up at, and I told them the situation, and they told me what to do. They told me to send in the paperwork, based on the circumstances. I sent in everything I had, the letter from the investigator describing the situation. It specifically said in that letter that I was supposed to come and get my daughter. It broke down everything. I sent them the news article. I sent them all kinds of stuff, in regards to the situation. So what they ended up doing is they took me off of child support. And I still had to pay arrears, but then it dropped from what I normally had to pay per week to maybe about $5 or something like that. So they wanted me to pay arrears because she tried to go back, of course, and whatever, man, talking about I wasn't doing this, that, and the other these years prior to, and then all this other stuff. So whatever. Fuck child support. Shout out to Mr. Palmer. So they took me off child support, and all I had to do was pay arrears. So they came and got my daughter. They found a loophole in the system. They filed a bullshit ass, lawsuit or whatever, and they got my daughter. Took her back to Florida. I was furious. I was in tears. I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I'm talking about for days. For days. I never forget that pain and frustration, man. That stress. I was stressed. I was really stressed, man. I was stressed. And all I could do is just cry, be angry, and pray out to the Most High. Just cry out to the Most High. Because I didn't understand how that can happen. For them to just be able to file that law, file that thing with the law firm, and the attorney BT was able to push it through, and they was able to successfully get my daughter away from me. No court case, no nothing. So I tried to, file an appeal. Took my paperwork down to the courthouse. Took them forever to reach back out to me in regards to the situation, to reverse it or to see if they could do something about it, anything. Couldn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing. I was hurt, devastated. I'm talking about crying out to the Lord and praying vehemently for days on days on days upon days, full of anger, full of sadness, full of concern for my daughter. And you know what ended up happening? JC, my daughter's mom, ends up putting me back on child support. She ends up putting me back on child support.
Help me! Help me!
She ends up putting me back on child support, man. After getting our daughter back. I couldn't believe it. I was already devastated as it is, and then you turn right back around with your trifling ass, with your evil, trifling ass, and put me back on child support. Boy, you talking about hot? So then when we had the conference call, because at the time it was COVID going on, so we had to do the conference call. So it was the judge, it was JC, the attorney, BT, and some other lady that was documenting the whole situation about the child support case. And I was telling the judge, like, listen, do y'all understand that I was supposed to go and get my daughter? And that this said attorney, BT, with this particular law firm, filed this suit and they just came and took her? So in so many different words, she, rebuked the attorney that did this and was like, you can't just be doing this, that, and the other. But yet she still pushed the motion for me to be back on child support. She did, say have a few choice words for the attorney, but she didn't do nothing about it. They went on ahead with the process, put me back on child support. And here it is this day. I'm on it. So, I think we're going to leave it there for part 3. Like I said, it gets, like I said, just when I thought it was bad, it got worse. And believe it or not, y'all, it gets even worse than that. Yeah, it gets even worse than that. So thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Monte Carlo Show.
Another one.
I am your host, Monte Carlo. Of course, I would like for y'all to subscribe to the channel, share your comments and your thoughts on this particular episode of Surviving a Toxic Baby Mama Part 3. Especially the fellas, those of you who are out there who have dealt with a similar situation, because I'm not even done yet. This is Part 3. I got to do a Part 4. And hopefully I can wrap it up, but we'll see. According to my notes, maybe part 4 will be the end of it, but we'll see. But of course, like I said, subscribe, hit the like button, leave your comments, share. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, if you'd like to support the channel, you can cash at me at $, capital SHAM, capital STROMAN, and we greatly appreciate your support. And we will see you on the next one. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I am your host, Monte Carlo. This is the Monte Carlo Show, and I'll see y'all on part 4 of Surviving a Toxic Baby Mama. Let's get it.
Like to welcome y'all to the Monte Carlo Show. Oh my God! Up entertainment. Oh my God! I'm about to take you on a wild ride. It's the Monte Carlo Show. We got a lot to discuss. We in the manosphere and every topic is up. The hello with shalom. The plan in effect is the level of your home. Be the best version of yourself and measure up your own. We all got dreams. Set a schedule for your role when you're setting up your goals. We hard working. This the channel for the truth. It's beyond purpose. Getting paper cutting green like a lawn service. This a black man channel. I know y'all nervous, but we at y'all service. Anything you wanna talk about, let's talk about it. The Monte Carlo Show, the truth, we all about it. Perspectives, social push objectives, and we ain't gonna stop till our message is effective. These days, hating is selective, but the Monte Carlo Show will always be respected. It's the Monte Carlo Show. Come take this ride with us. It's the Monte Carlo Show. If you got drive, you up. It's the Monte Carlo Show. We getting the streets right, on the road to riches, and every light's a green light. It's the Monte Carlo Show. It's the Monte Carlo. It's the Monte Carlo Show. It's the Monte Carlo. It's the Monte Carlo Show. It's the Monte Carlo. It's the Monte Carlo Show. It's the Monte Carlo Show.
Hey, listen, I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Stay tuned for part 4 of Surviving a Toxic Baby Mama. And remember, when you see me, say shalom.